judge of whether it's in.
And
or not.
we are on.
Are we on? I think we're on. Yeah, we did our usual crashing. So
talking of watches,
are we just going to carry on like we've not been away from
Did you know? So watches used to be a sign. Wristwatches used to be a sign of being gay. So this is anyone who says anything. It's about how times change.
I don't know.
Let me explain.
Okay.
So what happened is they used to be called wristettes. The original watches were only worn by men as pocket watches.
Yeah.
That was how they were, pocket watches. And then,
women had nowhere to be unless they were with their husbands, surely.
Well, I mean, yeah. But then little watches come out for ladies, like for women, which were these tiny little things. And they
that's where it went wrong.
And then what happened is the men, like camp men, would wear them on their wrists as well as a sign of being gay. So they actually started off. But a man wears a pocket watch.
That to me seems very, because obviously the way that homosexuality was illegal for so long, that seems very, like, to have a clearly that everyone knew that, or was it an open secret?
But I mean, they had their own language and things like the gay people, like it was, what they call it, Polari or something.
Had their what?
Yeah, have you know, God, Kenneth Williams used to go on at Polari.
I'm sure there must have been
secret. Tell me you haven't heard.
I'm sure there must have been secret codes and things.
No, that's what it was. But you could speak in a way that would say, like, the word grass meant something else. If you look it up, like Polari, like you'd hear, it started to be used in like radio in the 60s, where people didn't even know that they were joking about it. It was when you were trying to be rude.
Oh, okay.
Like you go, sit on me lallies. Me lallies were like me balls, but so people were laughing at the fact that it was funny.
Yeah.
But the word, but there was actually a language that gay people used to use in pubs and things like that.
My only experience with a sort of code thing where I had to ask was I was doing a show and we got an email in and it said, hi Rob, I'm pretty sure you and I have someone in common. Are you a friend of Dorothy's? And so when it's an email from someone saying, because it's about, the presenter's personal life and things like that, you always want to check with them before, rather than just saying, we've had an email in from so-and-so, and they're saying that they think they've got a friend, you want to say, are you happy to talk about this? Because it wouldn't be uncommon for someone to say, I was out and about and I saw you in blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so, just to not invade their privacy on air, you would wait until there was an opportune moment. And I said to him, Rob, I've got an email here from somebody called whoever, and they're saying that they know they've got a mate like that they've got in common with you called Dorothy. And he went, they're asking if I'm gay because apparently friend of Dorothy means that you're gay. But just genuine in there, I'd have had no. So if I hadn't thought about it, I'd have just fed that to
Dorothy.
him. Yeah, I'd have just fed that to him straight away on air.
That's what it was, especially when in the 60s it was actually a language called Polari or something.
But then again, that shows you like how shitty it is that you can't be in Britain. You couldn't be free enough that you would have to invent some secret code you were spies or you were insurrectionists. Yeah. Because so it was called a wristette. So originally women wore the watches on the wrist. Yeah. It's like what prostitutes used to do. Another little tip for you. Well, it doesn't happen anymore. What they used to do is wear little. Theo gave me little tips about prostitutes.
I was told this by some prostitutes.
By Leo, was it?
Yeah,
Leo told you
friend
this.
Leo. He was told.
Yes, he was told. Yes,
I don't know her name because I wasn't there, but she.
It was probably something like. It was probably something like Savannah, wasn't it?
But what happened is they would wear when you couldn't be out and out prostitute on the street, you'd wear a bracelet around your foot, like a gypsy bracelet. Yeah. So you would know that that's a prostitute.
Well, I mean, but how long ago are we talking here?
Oh yeah, I'm talking like 50s.
But wouldn't that be
early?
No, I suppose. Oh, okay. Then you would be showing your ankle because it always used to be a thing, wasn't it? Like, oh, she's showing her ankle. Yeah. But yeah,
I mean, I assume the sort of white PVC miniskirt gave it away more than the big red
around
light.
The Dockland at 2 a.m. Yeah,
with a big billboard in your hand, go get it.
Going, all right, love. Yeah, want a good time.
Yeah, and a guy with a fur coat.
The weird ones, because obviously you do get women who are identifiably prostitutes, but. It is weird when you just get the sort of sneak prostitute. Like someone would just be like, as in you'll be talking in a bar somewhere, usually like in a casino type scenario, and someone would be like, no, and then they'll just be like, so, I've got a hotel room around the thing, and you're like, oh, hello, right, yeah. And then they start mentioning pricing, like, you're a prostitute, fine.
They assume you know what's going on.
I got I mean, you're getting propositioned in
casinos.
And casinos. I got propositioned outside of.
I would say this was a long time ago.
Outside of McDonald's in King's Cross,
classy,
right by the station as well, literally across the road. And like, I was going in, coming out, eating my burger. 2 ladies there again. Big chap with gold teeth behind them, like huge chain. Yeah. And they were like, you want a good time, darling? Oh. And I was like,
Well, I'm having a lovely
And I
time with
was
my
just
burger
thinking-
now.
I was
Thank you very
thinking,
much.
I was thinking, actually, the day's gone quite well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
But thank you for asking.
I don't know where this is going. What do you mean? I was so naive.
Good day, madam.
I said, what? And then you go, do you want some sex? And I was like, oh.
Stop. So she just went,
She was just like, I need
no
to lay it
gradual
out.
thing. Do you want sex?
Are you stupid? Do you want sex? And I was like, oh, no, thank you. Oh, no, thanks. And she's like, oh.
And then you rolled up your comic book. Yeah, just walked
And
in.
I ran away as fast as my little feet could
Ran
carry
back to
me.
the house, locked through the door and peered through the letterbox.
So why did we get onto prostitutes? Hello, everyone, by the
Yeah,
way. We've been away for about
a
3
while.
weeks.
But no, my
it's
point
because
was,
I was wearing
that
a watch.
was my
Right,
little
right,
thing.
right.
You've learned a little thing there. That's a
Yes,
nice
I've learned that I now look like I'm a prostitute and or homosexual.
So 60 years ago, you were technically trying it on.
That's a good thing. It's not. Well, we haven't got the time machine with us today.
I'm not well. I'm sitting here sweating.
You're sitting here sweating. It's the stress of it.
Usually,
we were away because our producer was getting married for the
Kerem
17th
thought he'd go off
time.
and get married. We had to miss a couple of weekends.
Yeah,
Are you finished being married now? Yeah.
Yeah, because this
Is
is
it
about
over?
the fifth time that Kerem has been
Well,
married.
we have to. We have to
to the
explain.
same person.
Yeah,
but it's like
yeah.
different ceremonies, different locations.
Yeah.
There was a honeymoon.
He's not a sheikh.
Yeah, he's not a sheikh. He might be. You don't know. He just could be
Oh, yeah, he
slumming
might
it
be
with
rolling.
Undercover shake.
It would explain the Lamborghini he gets out of,
Yeah,
with the
exactly,
number plate
yeah.
that I can't read.
the bodyguards outside. That there's always a helicopter hovering overhead, just ready if he needs to hop off somewhere.
Yeah, so fill him out. Have you
Find
got a
his
ring
castle.
on? I'll see your ring.
That would have been an awkward moment if it was like,
Oh, yeah.
no. quick, shoving it back on.
Yes, he has a ring on.
He has a ring on.
There you go. Would it be bad luck to try it on?
Well, it'd
Would
be a
it good
bit
luck?
weird. I don't
yeah.
know. That's a
You might not be able to get it off, is all.
No, I thought it'd be like I'm going to disappear if I put it on or something.
no. You just disappear
What
from
movies are lie to me then, if anything?
But then Sauron will know where you are.
I was going to make a joke. I can't even make a joke about that.
What?
No,
Oh no! Is that because every time you mention Lord of the Rings, we have to remind everyone that
No.
you once got socked off watching the Two Towers?
Yeah,
Committing
right.
a
You know what I
crime.
was going to say about the Batman thing? Right, I take
don't
it
know.
back
Well, I
about
don't know
Bane.
About Bane?
Yeah.
What, being on his side?
Right, I'm not completely, but somebody said to me no, because I said to them, right, because I couldn't really remember, and he said, no, yeah, I get it, because it was the guy that said he wanted to take me to a Comic-Con,
Yeah.
and he said, I'll take you as Bane, and I didn't really know.
Was that some of the secret code again?
No.
This is Perry Baloo,
Yeah,
what
no,
it was
no.
called.
But he said, no, you're more like Judge Dredd. He said,
Yeah.
you don't want death to be, he said, but you do have a thing of like,
Absolute
I am the
justice.
law.
Yeah.
So-
I'm the law.
but I agree. What was
Objective sort of morality. Well, not objective, sorry. Yeah. No, objective. Yeah.
so? What would you say? No. What would be the downside of Judge Dredd?
That he's executing people without.
But doesn't he believe in the law even above the lawmakers, like right and wrong, or is it just the law?
It's complete. I mean, Judge Dredd is completely black and white, and it's just like.
But is he
he's
more
like
moral?
Homeless man begging 10 years,
Oh no, I thought
and
he'd
it's
be
just
like
there's
the man.
no mercy. There's no.
But how do they
There's
make
no
him a good-
mitigating
Yeah,
circumstances.
there's no understanding.
He's not. He's sort of an anti-hero, but I mean, they also present him in a world that is so scummy and is fallen, and it's because it's the mega cities are all that's left.
But I thought he'd be sort of angry at the people, the lawmakers
no,
themselves.
He's just
He was originally conceived as a satire, about fascism. He's supposed to be,
Right.
he's supposed to be a villain,
Right,
Well, an
okay.
anti-hero, I suppose. He's turned into an anti-hero, but he's supposed to be a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's nasty, authoritarian, sort of
Even to
tool,
low-level
tool of a
people.
fascist. Yeah, tool of a fascist regime, and the creators intended it to be a satire on sort of 80s Britain and Thatcherism, and they were always a bit slightly unhappy at the way that everyone's loved it, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's so cool, I love him." And
Yeah.
they were like, "No, you're not supposed to love it. You're supposed
Right.
to
It's a
think he's
little
prick."
bit.
Oh
Yeah.
right, okay.
It's a
so
little
what
bit
was
like
the saving
Showgirls.
grace in like the film and all that?
nothing. There's no in the
must
films
be a good-
he's in the Stallone one, it's more leaning towards like, oh, he's a good guy, and he does slightly learn to not be so absolute. Whereas in the Dredd film, which is Carl Urban, where he
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
take the helmet off, that film he's more that is more true to the comics, I would say, in terms of his.
Oh, I was
absolute
hoping that he's sort of like he'd go and kill the people that made the laws because he realised they
No.
were the baddies.
I
He'd
mean,
get
I
a
haven't-
homeless person.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't.
There
read-
is there is a point, I think, in one of them where he there's a democracy movement,
Oh, don't want that.
and they end up being a terrorist organization, and he has problems with that. He does actually,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
slightly side with them in order to get elections, because I think they cancel elections effectively for a while, and they tried to get the democracy movement back. But he doesn't. He follows the law. He doesn't stand up for values necessarily or anything. He just follows the law dogmatically.
Okay.
Well, in the Stallone film, there is a little bit of the element of there's corruption within the but not much. It's mainly from Jürgen Prochnow.
So
who would have thought that he'd turn out to be the bad guy?
Yeah,
I've never seen Jürgen Prochnow be the.
I
the
thought
bad
he would be
guy.
like a RoboCop figure, like that sort of.
RoboCop is much more tongue in cheek than.
But that thing of like he finds out they're evil as more evil than the people at the bottom.
Yeah, he finds out the OCP, but they're always presented as corrupt anyway. I mean, someone gets killed right in that board meeting at Ed 209, and they're not bothered about that. It's just that it's a setback.
Yeah.
Somebody get a goddamn medic.
Yeah, exactly. But that's like the last. The guy's like in pieces, got great big holes in him, and they're like, "Oh, let's get it." You know, yeah, they do call for a medic, but their main concern is that this is setting back the Delta City project.
I'll stick with Bane then.
Judge Dredd is a very difficult character, just to put a pin in that, because he doesn't have any character arc.
No,
he
just is.
He just
There's
is.
nothing.
Yeah. And like he never really changes, never really learns.
But they must have that in the films. I mean, I haven't seen them, but they must have some sort of art.
there's only been 2.
I suppose the Dredd film did have some bit, because in the end he did pass Judge.
I forgot their name now. Judge Psychic.
Yeah, Judge Hershey.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, Hershey or
I think it's Hershey's. Yeah.
Judge Cadbury's.
Because she lost her gun, and that's an automatic fail. And in the end, she's like, no, she's passed.
Right, but
so he does
in
have
the
that
film
because he's just like we just survived like a really.
But it's more
really
more her
fucked up
arc,
day.
isn't it? It's more that.
Yes, which is the heart of it. But but he does have a slight,
and that's the best you're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
In the comic books, it's just one.
But he's shot. It's cool right at the end because he's just shot right through the gut, and he just staples himself together, and he goes, "Well, I got to finish my patrol," and just rides off. And you're just like, fucking bad.
Yeah, it's the internal organs I'd be worried about. Did you staple the internal organs?
But he's also Dr. McCoy, so he can fix himself. It's fine.
He's a doctor.
It's
the same. It's the same actor. Yeah.
Same actor.
Okay,
Dr. McCoy in the new Star Trek.
We don't talk about the new Star Trek.
Do we not?
No.
Oh.
Maybe the third one, but
Anyway, Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you've been working at the Spice Girls concert.
If
Security? Personal security?
No. It was
executive producer? No. What was it then?
Nothing fun. It was just
Victoria Standard.
But if you're a connoisseur of tragically drunk 40-year-old ladies, it was a real sight. It was great.
Right, I had a problem at the time of 2 things: Spice Girls, which I'll tell everybody at the time when they were there was bollocks, and Sex and the City, where everyone was going on about it when it was working in clubs. Again, tell them it was bollocks, and just they've all sort of become haggard and divorced and plastic surgery and broken up, don't talk to each other. And I'm thinking, good, that's exactly what I told you 20 years ago. Whenever
This
it
is Bane
was
coming through again.
No, but it was annoying me. It was annoying me when everyone's look, yeah, we're just going to have sex with anyone, we don't care, and you go, this is all bollocks. We're all living like you're in the fucking thing, and this is bollocks. And Spice Girls, look at us, we're all best mates. Are you all best mates now still? The fact that they say the girl power thing again, you go, are you fucking insane?
Don't, because Jerry, the last night of the Wembley tour, Jerry, in between the song, said that she apologised for leaving in 97, I think.
Yeah.
And
1897.
Yeah, and was apologised to the fans and said she behaved like a brat. And I talked to several girls and ladies, I should say, and they all said, I cried. It was a very poignant moment for me.
Yeah, you said it on the stage in front of hundreds of. Did you do that on a phone call like 5 years ago?
I done.
I don't know. But the fact that there were people weeping in the audience.
All right, well, let's just go and get the what's the skinny one called? The one that's not there.
Victoria. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Posh
Spice, yeah. I want to go. What happened with the girl power thing? I haven't seen. What have you been up to? You two? Have you all been sort of going on doing lots of things together?
Well, I think they
No,
did.
we don't talk.
No,
well,
but
hang
I
on.
think it varies. They've been on and off for years because they had a comeback a couple of years ago again, didn't they?
Yeah, when they needed some money.
Yeah, they ran out of money.
Girl power again. Yeah, girl power.
Tax
Only what girl power does to you when the tax man's knocking on the door. Suddenly it becomes important again. But again, it's the bollocks of it. Like at the time, I'm telling you, go, no, feminism, this. They go, no, it is bollocks.
No to feminism.
No, but that's not right. It's like they said. There was an actress. What was her name? Dame Edna. I think she's dead now. She said like, why?
Dame Edna.
Not average, but it was an actress. I think she died in like 1930, and she said, "Why is it when women want to behave like men, they always want to behave like bad men?" Like, do you know what I mean? It's never raised the bar to that level. It's look, we can act like the ladette culture. Oh look, we can go out and get fucking alcohol and get pissed and have random sex and blah, blah. That's a good thing. No, why don't you raise the bar to a certain point? Not go, well, we can do as shit as they can. It's like when you see the cage fight, they've got women doing cage fighting now, where you go, on one point, you go, right, I get it that there's fairness now, but fairness for women to get punched in the head in cages, that doesn't
if they
work.
want to do it.
But it's the lowering the standard. It's like, oh, well, we can go as low as them as well. When I was sort of women, well, the better.
I thought you'd be into sort of cage fighting.
No, I liked it, but then because when I came out of the haze of like the violence, I started to realise, oh, what it does to society.
When you split from Leo.
Yeah, there's a little mitosis. We went our separate ways.
It was like when Superman, when he gets split from
that's the fight in the junkyard.
Yeah. Yes, but it was that thing of like, I always thought women were better. So I just assumed they were better than men, because men, it always been a bad thing.
I can understand like the whole lad, but
let's go and get pissed.
But you've lost me a little bit on the cage fighting.
Yeah, I don't want to see women punching. It was bad enough men doing it, because now women.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I saw a woman play football the other day. When will this madness end?
Do you know? Funny you say that. I was watching.
Next, they'll be voting.
I was at the gym a couple of weeks ago.
And owning property.
I was at the gym a couple of weeks ago, and I saw.
They've gone mad. Yeah.
They had female football, and when they
the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
Okay, so they scored a goal, and they all ran over and hugged and kissed each other, and I thought, oh, they haven't done a different thing. They've done exactly what footballers do. Like, it doesn't happen in basketball, it doesn't happen in baseball, where they all run over and give each other hugs. I'm just saying that it seems to be a lot of male-on-male contact just in football.
Okay.
When will this madness end?
Yeah. I'm just saying it's odd. Like, if I scored a goal, I'd go, get the fuck off of me. Don't jump on me. What the fuck are you doing?
What was that one where, was it Gary Neville kissed, Ryan Giggs on the lips?
Oh, gee.
It was a while ago, because obviously it was when Gary Neville was still playing. And, I think he just ran up to him, and Giggs scored or something, and he just ran up. And,
there's always been an idea
and proper grabbed his head and went, and, on the lips. And Giggs was like, whoa. Not here.
But
not here. I'm too busy shagging my brother's wife. Allegedly.
But it's only...
that was mentioned in Parliament.
But yes, what I noticed, the women did it as well. They all ran over and hugged each other. Like, there wasn't a new thing that was invented. They all went and did the same thing.
So they should do something different.
No, but I thought, oh, they're just copying. They've seen...
Well, I don't know if they're consciously copying. It must be...
But they have to. It's not random.
But there must be something inherent in football that makes the reaction. I think because football is all about a build-up and then a release.
Yeah, but that's every sport.
Isn't it? No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, basketball's end-to-end, isn't it? Most sports are very end-to-end, aren't they? Yeah. So it's constant action, whereas football is a lot of passing around. Even you kick off, there's all of that movement
but
around.
If I was a footballer,
up towards the goal.
I'd say, right, if I score, don't fucking jump all over me, and I'm not going to run to the... It's very childish, like they run to the crowd and they say...
Don't touch me, don't touch me!
I don't like to be touched.
Just say, well done.
Just like
shake your hand.
Be a bit autistic about it.
Yeah,
nobody touch me.
Doff their top hat. Got a good show.
But I don't understand why you'd feel comfortable on that. That's mental.
Well, I don't know. That's just your hang-up, isn't it?
But it seems very toddlerish, like very childish for blokes to be jumping all over each other and running to the crowd and waving your arms, saying, clap. I just go, all right, well done, let's go, carry on.
No, it's well, when you're there in the moment, it's quite great. I mean, I've been grabbed and hugged by strangers in a football crowd.
It's by strangers?
Yeah.
That was a real... the way you told that story was very dramatic.
Yeah.
No, it was... Yeah,
it just felt like you needed, hello, darkness, my friend.
Yeah.
And, no, I mean, it's, it's just... It's just lads. It's just lads hanging out, doing lad stuff.
Football talk. Don't forget this.
Doing lad stuff, hugging, kissing sometimes, wrestling with their shirts off. It's just normal bloke stuff.
This is escalating very quickly.
Do they do it in rugby? Because that seems quite a manly...
I don't really watch rugby.
Yeah, I think it would go more towards.
I'm not manly
opinion. Enough. I don't think it does happen, because I remember watching rugby once, and I was fascinated by. I was literally in the gym on the same day years ago, because I was doing security at the time, and there was a match on, and I don't know if it was a World Cup or something, and I saw somebody running with the ball, and he was kicking it, and somebody nearly got near him, and he threw himself on the floor. Anyway, I was on the treadmill at the same day. The rugby was on, and a guy I used to work with used to play rugby, and I said to him, I just saw a little thing where a guy was trying to score, and the bloke had his jumper from behind, and it was almost tearing it off him, and he was still going. And I thought, oh, that says something about the type of people that do those. Like, all he cared about was scoring, the rugby guy, even though somebody had him throttling him.
Because there's no stakes in rugby, no one cares.
But the other guy just threw himself on the floor. Like, it wasn't in his head, I've got to score. I have to, like, the main thing was, I'm going to get an out here. Let me just throw myself on the floor. And I thought,
when you see the diving, it is like that.
It was pathetic.
But
that, to me, like, you're not desperate to score. Like, you're trying anything. You'll go, just wait for an out.
There's all this talk about like how we should enforce that. As in football culture, how do you enforce to stop people diving? And there's all sorts of talk. Now you can get penalties for, not a literal football penalty, but you get penalised for simulation. They call it.
Well, you can get retrospectively banned.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
So if they see that they will review things and then
or just make the way of giving a penalty higher. So, like, unless it's a clear hack, you're not getting it. So there's no point.
They're making it. They're changing the rules for next season, and they're making like a lot easier.
Because don't fine them for doing it. Just say you're not going to get it anyway, unless you've clearly been hacked. So it's pointless you wasting the chance to just throw yourself on the floor.
Yeah, they've changed a few different things, haven't they? So it's not. You don't. I don't think you get red card automatically if you're last man now.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's
coming. No, but I'm saying it's the wrong way round. I'm saying they will know just from the judging changing. Unless you are clearly hacked, there's no point throwing yourself on the floor.
Well, they're bringing in VAR, video assistant referee, so that should hopefully
which was
get rid of it.
Yeah, that's what they do in American football. I think they have that, so they know not to fuck around because it's just going to be looked at again anyway.
Yeah, because there's no point. Basically, after a bit, people will learn. There's no point really in doing that because it'll.
As long as they also. I mean, I've been to a couple of games where they do the VAR and they do put it in the screen for you to watch. So imagine you're some pillar rolling down, going clutching your throat like Neymar does. He's very famous. He's infamous for it to the point that he was a source of mockery at the World Cup. Because he was just all the memes were about him being a prat. Not that he's a very talented footballer, and that's what people wanted to see. And all they saw was him pathetically rolling around, cheating.
But you'd think it would be in you to just want to keep going. Like, you kick my legs, I don't care. I'm desperate to go forward. To go have that thing in your head to go, I've thrown myself here.
Yeah. Like, I don't. It's just. I think it's the thing of it's almost. I equate it to. In female tennis when they're all going every time they're hitting the ball, and you're like, no one makes that noise, and some people do it deliberately at different times to make it seem like they've hit it at a different period.
There was a female player a couple of years ago, and the ref actually they sort of investigated. They asked her to stop making noise because she was just making this. I can't even.
Sharapova was. It was like,
oh come on,
and
like they were like, look, could you just not do that? And she's just.
That's Sharapova's lawyer.
Oh.
So the phone just rang there. Yeah,
but as well, and it was they again. She was breaking the decibel thing.
Yeah,
the noise.
It was technically like a danger to people's ears or whatever. It was so loud, and they were like, "Could you tone it down a bit for like the next match?" Because like technically it's like 120 decibels. It's louder than like a whatever truck.
I saw tennis a while ago. They're not all wearing white anymore.
It's only at Wimbledon that you're expected to wear all white.
So did they do it? I'm sure it was. Well, I don't know if it was Wimbledon or not.
No, Wimbledon's not started yet. So the others you can wear.
No, not now. I'm talking about a couple of years ago. I saw it.
Yeah,
they're wearing like fucking pink and.
Yeah, you can. Most of the other tournaments you can wear other colours. It's just the All England Club is very strict about.
You do still wear white in Wimbledon.
You have to wear all white. Yeah.
Oh, that's all right then.
But I think they only recently changed it that I could be incorrect actually, but I think they even changed it that I'm not sure. I think you still have to wear as a lady. You still have to wear a skirt. Yeah, and that's sorry. I didn't mean ladies. I'm like ladies only, but as in that's what it's called. It's ladies champion, men's champion. So I don't think they call it men's. I think they call it men's and then ladies, or they probably call it gentlemen's, but. It's gentleman and lady, and it's not men's or women's or anything like that because it's very old fashioned.
Well, you're quite a balanced fellow, so what do you think about the cage fighting thing?
If people are again, it's not my. Personally, I've watched it, and I don't deny the athleticism of it or anything like that. And these people are carved out of wood and everything, and their skill. But to me, every time I watch one, all that seems to happen is there's a load of scrabbling around, and then it just ends with one person got the other person in a headlock on the floor. And then it just punches them in the head load. And you're like...
Or a leg grip. They just do like weird leg grip. For like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's to me, I'm like, okay, that's ended
But
exactly
I'm more in a fan of that, like the jiu-jitsu of it on the floor, rather than men and women kicking each other in the head.
Yeah, that's...
I think UFC came out in, mid-90s, something like that. And I remember how shocking it was. So they changed the rules since, so it's less bloody.
Yeah.
But still, we're still...
Again, it's not that I want to necessarily see someone get seriously hurt on the flip side of that, but I just think what? Oh, how graceful! You know, and they've got them. It's not, you know, when you watch sort of martial arts in the Olympic, which is the most of the time I watch the any of it. You know, and someone will do jiu-jitsu kick, and they'll do some weird sort of spin kick, and it's not like they're necessarily seriously hurting the person, but they're landing a kick that gets them points and whatnot. It's the same with the boxing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to hit with the. So there was some skill to that.
It was definitely a downgrade. It was like I keep saying in the 90s, whenever it was, I remember like looking back at stuff and seeing, okay, you had the Jerry Springer, you had Cops, reality TV, cage fighting. Things went backwards. Do you know what I mean? They went down a step. So you wouldn't have thought like before then, oh, by the way, in like 30 years, we're going to have men and women attacking each other in cages on primetime TV.
It's a huge industry, isn't it? It's
That's what I mean, though. Like, we've gone down again, and it's not far a step. That's the Colosseum, and if we kept going down and down, it only takes, imagine Trump got in again.
He will get in.
And then, you know, some billionaire says, "Oh, we want to do this one-off thing, and it's a fight to the death, and it's 500 million, and it's another letdown." And then there'll be another one where you can use a weapon, but you can't use that. But then all we do is go 50 years, and we're back at the Colosseum again. We just go, well, it's a free. We like seeing that stuff, so let's put it on TV. You go, no, certain things you've got to say no. We're not going to do that because we're trying to be less like apes. But that was definitely a step back to men and women fighting in cages. Anyway, so I'm against it. But when I started to come out of the security and all that, and I thought, well, I've got to go back towards the spirituality and go back that way that I've been putting off for years.
Yeah.
I thought, right, I've got to stop watching and looking at things that I know my DNA is set up to enjoy. So I would purposely not watch anything with.
Well, it's also it's for example like why we like fatty foods is because when we were Neanderthals needed to store it in winter, all the fatty stuff, and we bred with Neanderthals. Yeah. So we took in things so things like type 2 diabetes, they're saying, is because of where we essentially bred with and bred out Neanderthals. So it's the same thing. So there's all this stuff. So the reason we're programmed to like fatty foods is because we're storing for the winter.
Yeah, of course,
we're storing for the ice age that isn't here anymore.
Yeah.
But you can't overcome that programming. So I think there's probably something primal in watching someone punch someone in the face. There's also
every film has, all the big films have violence.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at every blockbuster. At some level, they all involve violence. I mean, you know, superhero films, punching and flying around.
But it's in your DNA.
People love.
I think it's to do with noticing shocking things. So whether it's a fight or a giant mountain, or you're set up to keep an eye on dangerous things.
Yeah,
and that's all it is. So it's feeding off of that. But so when I had to cut all that out because I knew my DNA is set up to like that sort of stuff. But I knew if I was going to say and do things in the future that I wanted to do, I had to go, I know I like it, but I've got to get rid of it. Otherwise, you're a fucking hypocrite that you go on about that, but then you're happy to watch that. And I think just in the whole of having it there, people go, well, people like it. Yeah, that doesn't fucking mean anything. That's ridiculous. But it's just the notion of it exists where do you want to be in a society that doesn't have men and women attacking each other in cages or not? I think it'd be a better one that we didn't. Yeah. So let's just keep that away. But people like it, though.
Do you like boxing? I mean...
No, see, even less so in the last few years, where you have to get when you're in it, you can only see the benefits because you know him and the personality and his story and the struggle and the skill and how long you don't understand. Because you go, yeah, I get all that, but it's in terms of the planet. Is it a good thing to have people punching each other in the head? And then when you get older, I saw something maybe 2 years ago, again at the gym, and I had downloaded a video, and it was people that had fought Muhammad Ali. Yeah, you know, in the 50s or whatever. All American. 3 of them had to have subtitles because they. And even the other day, I saw a YouTube video. It was around Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, and I couldn't understand what Riddick Bowe was saying. He just couldn't. He was
Henry Cooper seemed fairly articulate until he died. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's just you might get. It depends what kind of blows you.
Maybe the careers are longer and they were shorter then. You didn't have that many.
It just depends, doesn't it? I mean, because obviously Ali was afflicted with Parkinson's, but. Was that also associated to
I don't think you can. I mean, you could, but there's no proof. It's just guessing. But getting punched in the head.
Well, he did get punched in the head by George Foreman. I think most people who are getting punched in the head by George Foreman are going to
would die. Yeah, to be honest. So the fact that
there's obviously a definite correlation between getting in head being punched.
Of course there is, but they're saying that's the same with football. It's people they're worrying about. People heading the ball, is that giving them concussion
over the
year? So they're not really causing, and they're wondering about do we do
and kids and stuff now as well. They're talking about not having heading for kids under.
Well, that's the
12
thing with
at the time,
American
whatever.
football. They're saying you think you've got the helmet on to protect you, but it's only protecting you on that day. It's actually hurting you because you're using your head as a battering ram. But just because you're not splitting the skull, it'd be better to split the skull rather than damage the brain 1,000 times. But what we're choosing is to put the thing on, damage the brain 1,000 times more, as long as you don't get a cut. Like with rugby, you haven't got anything, so you don't use your head as a battering ram against another because you're going to split your head open and have blood coming down.
I mean, some of them wear head guards, I would say. Whether
But that's more for the ears and things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
to check, didn't he?
If you
For-
check, but now obviously that film came out with Will Smith about the concussion, or it's called Concussion. But yeah, because you see, they actually use their heads, put their heads and bat round their heads.
It's it kind of always makes me think of those dinosaurs. The ones that have the big
Yeah, you
dome
just
head,
ram the heads
they
together.
smash.
But
Like
if you
that.
didn't have it on, you wouldn't headbutt each other, and you wouldn't have all the fucking problems that come in
also
later
the
life.
dinosaurs had a thing where their spines locked in, so
That's
it
it,
didn't
yeah,
matter.
with the
It was
skull, yeah.
So they were okay to do.
I
that.
remember I've definitely got brain damage. Like, I'm not being funny, and I don't like saying it because if I say things in the future, people put it down to brain damage.
So when you're like, I side with Bane, we're like, yeah, that's the brain damage.
Oi, why did you
right?
wink? I just saw you wink.
We're like, that's the
No,
brain
but now,
damage.
I'm always in tune with myself, whatever, way too early.
When you start coming dressed in with in as Bane, then we'll know.
yeah. But
your precious microphones.
so I remember specifically. So I must have had concussion maybe 12 times, 6 times definitely, where I was like sick. Because you remember I was working like 5-6 nights a week in shithole clubs. I was getting punched all the time, and I remember once where I was helping somebody else out. I was fucking fight with like 4 people, and I remember attacking somebody who'd headbutted me, and I'm punching him, but the people either side of me were running, kicking me in the head, and I mean running, because what was happening is I was protecting an old fella, and I fell on this guy who headbutted me, and we went into some bikes, and I was trying to hit him. I kept punching the bike because I was so angry at him.
Yeah.
But the old guy had a golf club.
Well, he did headbutt you. I think it's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not an
But the old guy had a golf club and would run out with a golf club.
Fucking
And
hell.
the people either side of me would run away.
Yeah.
And then he was running in, and I can hear him going back in to say, call the police. I'm thinking, don't run back in, because now they're going to charge and boot me in the head. And then he'd run back in with this golf club. They'd go sideways. He'd run in and say, call. And then I'm thinking, as I'm hitting him, I'm thinking, stop running backwards and forwards, because they're running away. And then they're running and kicking me, and I'm talking about 20 feet. They would disappear, then they'd run and boot, and I got 8 boots to the head. But anyway, my face all fucked up and things. But I went to the hospital, and I was supposed to thingy check, and I was like, oh, bollocks to this, I'm getting out of it. So I got on the bus, fucking covered in blood. But that was just one of the times. But that time specifically, I took about 8 running kicks to the head.
Yeah.
So I always knew my brain, I knew my body, and what had happened is afterwards, I thought, okay, I'm in a daze here. I'm talking to you, but I'm half asleep still. And then I was thinking, oh, it's getting worse. Oh, I can't remember things, blah, blah, blah. I'd go to the door, and I couldn't remember how to open the door, and because I knew little things about... Anyway, so I was studying the little brain. It was weird. But I knew about the corpus callosum in the brain, so one half tells the other half what to do. So you can go... One half says, that's a glass of water that I drink, or a glass of water, and the other thing says, oh, that's water that you drink. But when the corpus callosum in the middle is damaged, like ones are doing things, ones are what thing is, they will say, they could give you a glass of water and say, what do you do with that? It will say, what's that? And you go, glass of water, and say, what do you do with it? And you go, I don't know. Like, it's quite simple. They do it with a bouncing ball as well.
Yeah.
If you listen to V.S. Ramachandran, he's a neurologist, famous about the anomalies of the brain. So, again, one half says, what is this? The other half says, what do I do with it? That's all 2 different parts of the brain, the creativity and the linear, the thing. And I was in a car once driving, and I was thinking, I don't know what foot goes on the pedal. So I knew, move my foot and muscle memory will go there. So I didn't know, I just moved my foot and it went on the brake. So anyway, so that happened. I thought, okay, this is proper concussion, and it's going to take a while to come back, and it's got a bit hazy. Then the thing started speeding up. Like, I wanted you to hurry up. So that came in. I thought, oh, this is like proper concussion. It's going to about a month. Then it's getting worse. Then it stopped, and then it leveled out. And I was watching it every day thinking, oh, it's leveling out. And then it never came back. And it stayed that way since. And I remember the moment of going, oh, this isn't getting better. So it's got worse. Stopped, stayed at this problem stage, and it never got better. And I've stayed with that since. So I've definitely got brain damage. But, I was in a couple hundred fights, a couple of thousand violent confrontations where you're getting hit with things, or you're banging your head or getting kicked. But so that all those parts, they affect. So sometimes I said when I was listening to podcasts even, my words blur into each other. That's like minor punch drunk. Whereas in my head, I'm saying it.
The Sylvester Stallone, aren't
Yeah,
you?
honestly, that's what it's because in my head.
Back to
it's
Judge
clear.
Dredd.
Yeah, but in my head, it's clear. But if you listen back, like you're talking like this, and you go, "Oh, you're not separating. Your brain isn't."
Everyone listening at home is just everyone. Both of them listening at home are just like, oh, he's on the tequila again.
Yeah. No, but that's punch drunk. That's with drunk.
Yeah,
but so I've definitely got brain damage.
Thanks. I wouldn't have guessed that's why it's called punch drunk.
Yeah,
otherwise.
Talking about running flying kicks, have you seen that
Thanks for that.
footage of
Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yes,
getting kicked?
it's so
Yeah.
like.
Have you seen that?
He's lucky he didn't get shot or something. You never know with security.
I was
nowadays.
like, that's a punk move, to be honest. You know what I mean?
But
Like
it's mental. He's not.
blindsiding some dude, and he's like in his 60s.
I think he might be close to 70. I might have to.
No,
Kerem,
I
could you
think
look
he's
up
like-
how?
I mean,
how
he's-
old- I think he's.
yeah.
He's a big guy. Don't get me wrong, but like
But I also love the fact he was just like.
sucker punch inside.
Yeah, he was just like,
what?
what happened there? Did
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fly bump him?
I know, he's
He
just
was
like,
there.
boom. Yeah, and like the dude,
He's like,
you can
ah,
see
you-
him in the background and doing this huge run up.
Yeah.
It's like Monty Python, the Holy Grail, when you just see John Cleese just getting really close, and they're like, what the hell is that? And he just comes out, just nails him both.
Sorry, Kerem, how old did you say he was? 71.
He's a whiz.
So yeah, I mean,
Wow.
So
Wow.
don't go running up and kicking anyone in the back, please, unless it's like
But
I don't
how
know,
did the security
Hitler.
not
But
see him coming.
but maybe you just don't expect it at that kind of event because it's his hosting. I don't know why I wasn't there, but it's just it's shit. But then that's also like, well, how does anyone get assassinated, or how does these people?
No, not with a run up. Listen, if you should be watching everyone.
Well, because
in
that was the thing
building
with
and outside.
when Farage got milkshaked, I was like, oh come on, no one like surely
Saw
they
the
must be,
milkshake,
but
yeah.
someone must be because obviously with Tommy Robinson when that happened to him or Stephen Yaxley is his name, isn't it? Stephen Yaxley Lennon or
Yaxley,
whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, Tommy Robinson is his nom de guerre.
Yeah,
I
his
suppose,
internet
so-
handle, effectively. Yeah.
So when that happened to him. Fair enough. I don't mean fair enough as in like, okay, let it happen. I'm not here to debate about whether you should throw stuff at people, but it was like, that he was chatting to the guy who happened to have a milkshake, and it's not like he'd gone purposefully to get
Yeah.
it. And so that happened. But when Farage, you're like, well, Farage gets like egged and people trying to take him on all the time. It's like, that's going to win the moral, put you on that. You're talking about moral high ground here. It's like, that's going to put it on the. I don't agree with a lot of what Farage says, but throwing a milkshake on him or egging him or trying to get at him, or he says like, I'll be out with having dinner with my family, and people come and confront me and everything, and you're like. Well, that's not going to put. You're giving him the moral high ground. If your thing is saying like, oh, he's wrong, he's this, he's immoral, blah blah blah, which is a lot. People throw these accusations at him. It's like, yeah, but then throwing an egg at him doesn't make you then his intellectual superior. Clearly, that doesn't put you. Anyhow, when that happened, you were like, I'm sorry, no one. He needs to hire some better security or just have a word and say, listen,
people with milkshakes
coming up to you angrily ready.
Yeah, if there's anyone within 10 feet and a milkshake,
Yeah, they're
right,
not-
let's move.
Yeah, they're not coming up and going, sign my milkshake.
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
please, Farage. I always want you. But yeah, the Schwarzenegger thing, that was like.
That's what I mean. That's not.
But I did love the
you're
fact that the guy just bounced
Schwarzenegger.
off him.
Yeah. He literally just ricocheted off him.
And was like,
And then his response next day was great because he was just like Arnie's response, proper boss response, proper alpha response. He was just like, "No, I don't hold any grudges against him. I didn't even realize it happened." At the time. Yeah, he's just like, so what? It didn't hurt. I didn't
He knows
realise."
how to handle. Because I remember when
And he's just like, the guy obviously wasn't very well or something. So
Yeah,
he was asking for
and he's just
he was like, I want a
whatever.
Lamborghini. That was his thing, yeah. He apparently they were playing it back, and he's basically saying, "I need a Lamborghini," and I was like, "So you're going to kick him in the back and ask him to give you money for a Lamborghini?" So obviously not a
But that
person.
security is pathetic.
Yeah, that's pretty
That is
bad. Yeah,
pathetic.
but it was like when
When he got egged, he was on the governorship when he's got running for the mayor. I don't even remember it. And somebody threw an egg.
did they?
Yeah, they threw an egg at him, and it hit him on the shoulder.
Yeah.
He took the jacket off and gave it to the other guy and carried on walking like nothing.
That's
And it looked
quite
great.
cool.
I thought, he was ready. He knew.
Yeah,
In his
I mean,
head.
I like the Prescott thing when he socked that person right in the mush.
Oh,
when
yeah,
they,
yeah.
Like, 'cause they,
People,
but they,
people liked him for that. Yeah,
yeah, but
he
I
got
mean,
away
the thing
with it,
was
didn't
as
he?
well
Yeah.
that they. I like Blair's response was just like, "Well, John is John." It's just like, "Yes, lad," but it was the fact that they didn't just throw an egg at him; like they full on slapped it in his face.
Oh, well,
didn't
they sort of smushed it in his face.
Yeah, so
and it was a natural reaction. His first thing, he just turned around and just clocked him. He was-
So, yeah, clocked him right in the mush.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
I was
absolutely.
like, fair play. Yeah.
But again, it's so many things that you think like that is. It was Fathers for Justice once got into the House of Commons. It was some stupid thing because people are allowed in the sort of public gallery, but someone at all, MPs have these tickets and they're allowed to invite guests in and whatnot. Often it's the idea is they bring constituents in. So
Yeah,
they-
but you can apply to your MP, can't you?
Yeah,
And get a
exactly.
visit through
But
them.
some had been I think well-meaning, but have been auctioned off somewhere. So then somehow through a chain, I'm sure it was Fathers for Justice. I could be mistaken, but it was certainly obviously a protest of some sort. And they threw a condom full of powder at Tony Blair.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
I've got to be careful.
Whether,
there,
exactly. It's like whether, obviously Blair, the Iraq War, everything, he's quite loath, I would say. But I'm sorry, you don't allow people. Why? What the fuck happened there? That these people were allowed.
It was powder paint, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it wasn't. It wasn't anything. But you're like, that could have been anthrax,
That
or
could
anything like that. But it's just whether you like him or not. He's the elected prime minister of this country, and people are allowed in there. And you just think, who fucking got? I really hope a lot of people, not necessarily got fired, but a lot of people got like a serious sitting down and talking to him, and be like, what the fucking fuck happened here that this was allowed to happen?
I know. Well, I worked
Very sweary there. Sorry.
a couple of times with this actor. He's an actor and he's a nice guy. He's very big, huge guy. And he occasionally did these jobs where he would
Vinnie Jones
be paid to sneak in fake pipe bombs and fake guns through security to test security.
Oh, okay.
bloody hell.
And I was
Is that
like,
an official job?
yeah. He didn't. This wasn't just
Like
like
mystery shopper.
This wasn't just like you're bored Saturday afternoon. No, and he sort of did it. I think he did it through.
Was it Vinnie Jones?
No. But he was no. He's a really nice guy, and like he said that he was doing it through into sort of Wembley Stadium and sort of through concerts or whatever, and I think through an airport at one point. And then he was trying, and then they offered him. I was like, dude, you're not getting paid enough for that. Like, they're genuinely.
Yeah.
And then he said that there was one job, he didn't take it and he quit because they wanted him to smuggle in a fake pipe bomb into the House of Commons. And I was like, yeah, don't do that.
But how does
I was
how,
like,
yeah,
don't do
how does
that.
that work in terms of who's paying him to test that?
Doesn't mean there must be some.
I think it's the police or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, but do
Because
you
all
have
you need is one idiot to get a bit trigger happy, pulls the fucking trigger, doesn't know that you're.
Yeah, well, he said that they weren't told that there was someone
course.
coming.
Yeah.
So they weren't aware that there was a drill or an inspection or whatever the hell you're calling it. And he basically was given a code word. So, like, if he was caught, he would tell them, "Okay, ring this number, and here's the code word."
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
This is the code word, and they'll
Yeah,
verify
if it gets
that I'm
to there.
someone.
Like if somebody goes and pulls out a gun, sees you, and fucking starts firing at you.
But he was like, he's a big guy and he's a black guy. And I was just like, dude, don't do that. As I stopped doing that, man.
Yeah. I mean,
because they're just going to shoot you and then just be like, oh, we didn't. There's no code word. We didn't know. Don't know who this guy is.
You'd maybe I think in this country, there's marginally less chance of that. In America, they just shoot him anyway.
Yeah.
They just be like, oh, there's a black guy, boof, and that's not
He's
to
got a
make
bomb.
life.
He's got a bomb.
And he happens to have a pipe bomb on.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And then later on, we found out. I mean, it sounds like we're being flippant, but unfortunately, that is the fucking like you watch all these. There was a documentary they were just compiling. I forgot what it's called now. It was absolutely gobsmacking. We knew it was bad, and it's hilarious that Trump is. It's not hilarious, but sorry, it's hypocritical of Trump to go, he keeps attacking Sadiq Khan and going, the violence in London, the knife crimes. I'm sorry, how many school shootings were there today? And how many people are blowing, more people die every year, like in a single year, from shooting each other or something. It's something not far off this and have died in all the American wars put together. It's ludicrous. It might not be quite that much, but like in a couple of years, the amount of people that blow each other away with just their own handguns and assault rifles that they can buy in the shops is more than, that get killed in their wars. Anyhow, it was a documentary and it was just compiling people's, often it was either dash cams that they just happened to have in their things or people would be filming. There was one where this woman, her partner, I think it was her partner anyhow, was being quite, like, keep your hands on the wheel, etc. Can I see your license, blah, blah, blah. And she was saying, oh, we've been pulled over. It's sick of this bullshit. It happens all the time. No. We're always getting picked on because we're black and we've got a nice car. And then suddenly, and just poof, like that. And he just shot her. She's like, because the guy didn't do anything.
Just moved. And
He was following orders. He had his hand. I remember he had hands on the steering wheel, and he was cooperating. And the policeman just pulled out a gun and shot him in the head.
Yeah, and there's
and
loads.
she's just like, "What the hell did you just do?"
Yeah, you just shot him out. Yeah, but there's loads of things like that. There's people being pinned down. There was one where they pinned him against the side of the car and just went bang like that.
What?
But there's two. And you're like, yeah, exactly. It's murder. It's and you're like, what? What's going on here?
Yeah,
What is this fucking? What's going on here?
Yeah.
It is terrifying. So yeah, I think in this country you probably
you're
it's
right.
just the fact that if
Might
you
get
forgot
away
the
with
code
it.
word and
Yeah.
whatnot, but I mean that's way risky. But in America they just shoot. Yeah,
it's the first thing to go to.
Well, it's always but the thing is always shoot first to ask questions later,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's their military tactics. Isn't it?
Well,
That's
yeah.
what they-
Guess what? It seems that when you militarize the police force,
Yeah.
and give them lots of
But that will
extreme
come
powers,
here. That will come here. They'll all have that eventually.
I think I know. I don't think so. I think because it's been such a long, big thing about not having guns on the streets. I think the whole taser thing. I think even that is still. I think I quite like the fact that not everyone has a taser. Not all that they have like taser units, that they come and do it. I think that's a sensible idea because I don't think we have that kind of level of crime.
No, but what I'm saying is the crime is getting worse. It is following America, and eventually there will be shootings. Eventually, enough policemen will get shot, and then they'll go, right, we got to give them guns.
I think potentially the next prime minister,
gets better.
the next prime minister could come along and say, "I'm going to stop this crime
crime,
epidemic and
no
all the
more.
stabbings, and I'm going to I'm going to let the police do what they need to
Because all
do.
it is,
and they're going to
because
come in and
now
smash
we're
these
complaining
gangs."
about knives, and then one day when the guns are as many as the knives, then they'll eventually just come in.
But I think the reason why we have the knives is because it's hard to get your hands on guns in this country.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone would disagree and go, "Oh, I know plenty of people." Yeah, of course. Yes, exactly. But I'm sorry if you know, that's because you move within those circles, and so for you, that's your experience. So it's the idea.
Oh yeah, it will be a lot slower because we don't have guns for sale, so it's always going to be an underground.
I mean, there was
thing.
a beat different crimes, and you're like,
Oh no.
Oh, it
was
followed
getting passed round. Yeah, You might end up where you get in parts of London more guns on the streets, and we do have that because obviously the terror level, the terror threat level. You do see things like you see armed policemen in Leicester Square. It used to be you'd only see armed policemen outside, the palace, outside Westminster, and then at the airport. But now you do get gun patrols.
You get them in big train stations now.
And that makes sense. And but you don't need, the police in bloody, I don't know, Brighton, for example, don't need guns.
Yeah.
The police in blooming wherever don't need guns. Whereas in America, all the cops everywhere have guns.
Yeah, but they needed them because the guns were there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We don't
because the assumption is everyone is armed.
That's what I'm saying.
because
The only
everyone
saving-
can be.
Yeah, the only saving grace is that we don't have them for sale, so
Yeah.
not so many people got them, which means
Well, that's one of the policies from the Brexit Party is to legalise handguns in this country.
Well, that's them never getting voted in then, surely. I can't imagine people are voting.
No, I don't see in the general election though. But I mean, I think they were talking about bringing back
For people.
bringing back the death penalty and bringing handguns. So I was
I don't think the death penalty would get voted in, but I think more people would vote for it than you would expect.
I think public. The thing is it's interesting. I don't know the current figures, but the public support for the death penalty has always been quite high. And if you put it to a referendum, traditionally it's always been quite high. If you put it to a referendum, I suspect it would pass.
Really?
If you said for things like terrorism or paedophiles or something, or like traitors, you know what I mean? Like,
I think there needs to be harsher
if you-
crimes. I think with paedophiles and rapists, chemically castrate them. That's
There's
why
no
that's
point
like
killing
really
people. That
militant.
doesn't, especially when it's to do with the brain, like if you're a paedophile or something like that. That serves no purpose to kill them. That's
Well, it's also
But
for me.
I'm
I've
saying
always,
you can couch it in language and evocative language.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just depends for what crime.
but again, I always think that would be I think if you said to people, if you brought back the death penalty for paedophilia, I think most people would probably vote for that.
And terrorism. I mean, genuinely, if you're a terrorist and you're going around stabbing people,
Yeah, they
doing
probably
things,
would.
People would say, yeah, those people should be killed. Yeah,
If it was for, let's call it straight up traditional homicide murder, I wonder if that would pass.
No, but there's different types of murder.
Yeah, but as in like, just
Premeditated.
let's call it, as in what we would call, when you watch a crime show, that kind of murder.
first-degree murder.
Yeah, exactly. So someone kills someone because of
Premeditated,
whatever reason, not because it's an ideological thing or, and it's not where someone has committed a crime, like a paedophile who has then killed the child for, I don't really want to talk about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but, so would that
We're not
be
hashtagging it, don't worry.
no, exactly. But you know what I mean? It's just like it's such a ghastly conversation we're having here suddenly on.
How do we get onto this?
It started with the watch.
Yeah,
that took us into murky water.
It's 'cause
straight away.
we immediately started, yeah.
It's because we've got them Judge Dredd on our brains. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if you put to the question and said, rather than just saying a blanket, we'll bring back the death penalty for certain crimes, whatever, call them category, blah, blah, blah. If you said like, okay, so of these 5 crimes being, what would you bring the death penalty back for. I reckon, actually, paedophilia people probably would bring back the death penalty for that. I think probably.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I don't reckon people would. I don't reckon people would for murder, because I think there's always that weird contradiction of like the crime, the worst. We're saying, oh, it's so awful to kill someone, so we're going to counter that by killing you. That to me has always seemed like an odd. There's an odd thing for
there's no counterbalance. It's like what I was saying about the cage fighting thing. It's what it does. No, because you can't live in a society that murders people because they've done something. You can't have a government that kills people.
Because the thing is,
all the bits in between are
it doesn't
irrelevant.
reduce crime. A death penalty doesn't reduce crime.
No,
In the States and America, there's not really a correlation between the states that have the death penalty and murder rates and the states that don't have the death penalty. I mean, there's not, and there have been moratoriums where they've sort of ceased it for a while in some states, and they haven't noticed any real change.
Yeah, because there's a few that
rates.
you would kind of think, oh, they don't have it, and they do, but they just don't. Because I think New York has the death penalty, but hasn't done it for a long time.
I think they have got it back. Because there was a moratorium on it for a while.
Yeah,
and then they brought it back, and again
but there was a blanket one a couple of years ago, wasn't there? For quite a while, I'm sure there was a blanket like moratorium only for a couple. For a couple of years, even in the states where you imagine they probably just execute people night and day,
like Texas. Or
it
whatever.
serves no purpose killing somebody. So you should study these people. I don't understand what it is. You should say, well, you can. Okay, we could kill you, or we're going to spend the rest of your life psychologically analysing you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, some people, rapists and paedophiles, obviously keep them in jail for a long time.
Figure out what's going on.
Chemically castrate them.
But there are some people who are a danger to society, and they should probably never get out.
But the murder isn't fixing anything; just makes you feel better.
Precisely,
it does. They're not getting out anyway. They're not going back on the street. Why just murder them?
Well, there are some people, who should just be locked up and just, like your Peter Sutcliffe or whatever, and they should just, because this guy is just a menace. This guy's a monster. But I think twofold of the death penalty. One, it sort of negates the idea of redemption or reformation or whatever. You can't reform, and because you'll just say no, there is no possibility. You're fucked. Fuck off. And two, I believe that the government's there to uphold the rights of people and protect the rights of people, and executing a citizen is a violation of that duty. That's my sort of political view.
But it doesn't fix anything.
No, it doesn't.
It just resets the clock and waits for the next one, rather than digging into why do human beings do this? Like, where does it come from?
There was a big debate in America during the 80s when they were talking about bringing the death penalty for sort of crack dealers or drug dealers in particular. And we're around Reagan and stuff, during the crack epidemic of the early 80s, mid-80s. And the police, everyone fought against it because they were just like, well, next time we kick in a door or pull someone over and they happen to have a large amount of drugs on us, they got no alternative. They're just going to go, screw it, I'm just going to shoot my way out, so I'm going to get down.
Downside,
So it's actually going to escalate the whole drug war, and it's going to make things a lot worse,
Yeah, but that did it with the armed robberies as well, where I knew people, like I knew of people, didn't know them directly, that wouldn't do it with a gun, though. They'd have to imitate the gun, because having the gun, if that was like, well, you're going to go away for a long, long time, you're going to have to use the gun to get out of it. Otherwise, you're fucked. So you might as well just escalate.
But then the law has changed now, isn't it? So if you do use an imitation, they still treat that as
do they really?
Firearm. Yeah, because I think the idea is that.
Well, it still has the same end result, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. If someone is,
if they believe that you've got a gun as well, that's the thing.
Yeah. I think if you hold up like what is quite clearly a water pistol, but then I suppose in this day and age you could have acid in it, or something like that. You could just tell them that.
What did somebody tell me the other day? I should laugh. What was it, Joe? Yesterday.
The battery acid thing.
Yeah, she said, it should have been battery acid. I'll throw it in.
So this was again about harkening back to. I can sort of.
So just to say what it is, you explain it. So Farage got the.
So it was where Farage got milkshake thrown on him, and a few different people have had this. So people who are a different degree. Tommy Robinson and Nigel Farage are
Carl Benjamin as well, I think.
Yeah, but then they're not people. They're not the same.
But for our overseas listeners, they're.
Yeah, but I would say they're on the right of the political spectrum. I wouldn't put
borderline racist.
I don't think Farage is racist, but And I would say that Tommy Robinson is probably Islamophobic. That would be my interpretation.
Tommy Robinson is a fascist.
He is a fascist.
He's actually a fascist.
So does he self-identify as a fascist, or?
I'm not a fascist is exactly what a fascist would say.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, but then how does anyone not be a fascist?
Yeah, like,
Come to me, are you a fascist?
It's a joke.
No.
But he's head of an organisation that is effectively a brown shirt organisation that attacks and campaigns and uses physical violence against a religious minority.
So, and they've had milkshakes thrown at them.
But okay, so to place for overseas listeners, I would say that probably Nigel Farage is essentially many of his policies, I would say, are probably in line with the Tories, but he's also staunchly Eurosceptic and staunchly he's not anti-immigrant, but he wants to curb immigration.
So they've had
that's not the same thing. Yeah, but he's had milkshake thrown at him. Tommy Robinson had it. Tommy Robinson. That was where I think it's happened a couple of times now, but the first incident was where he was having a confrontation with someone and they happened to have a milkshake with him and threw it at him. Yeah. And then I think that then became a thing of like, oh, let's throw milkshakes at Tommy Robinson. And then it moved on to Farage as well. And so he got it. And then I think Jo Brand,
a comedian,
female comedian, she said on... I think the program's called Heresy. I haven't listened to it, so I can't speak for it. But it's a comedy panel type show, I believe. I'm not the honest answer. I don't know, so you'll have to look it up. But it's a BBC thing, and she said that I haven't even seen what the quote is, but from what I gather,
if it had been me,
it should be battery acid or something like that. Now I think,
but then the end bit was she's like, not that I want people to, not that people should do that. Right, she did.
Yeah, but that's a little bit like, I'm not saying you should throw milkshakes at Tommy Robinson, but
I'm not saying we should get rid of the Jews. However, there shouldn't be a however.
So and some people, so I think in reruns, the BBC, because they got a lot of complaints. Farage himself complained. I don't know. What is battery acid?
It's acid that's in a car battery.
Yeah, but I mean, as in like, there's acid.
It's very corrosive.
Okay, fine, because there's acid in lemon, so I don't know. I'm like, what are we? It's not it doesn't sound like.
To be honest, that'd be quite bad if you got like a thing of lemon juice like thrown in your face. They get in your eyes.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But genuinely, I know nothing about cars or anything like that. So
it's just
I'm
a corrosive material.
So that would cause you serious. It's not something
slowly. It's not going to.
So it's not like if you got, I don't know, whatever oil. No, because that would.
It's not sulfuric acid.
But it's not something that's gooey that's just going to be an inconvenience. It would burn you.
It's not like Alien. You know what I mean?
But you can get like some gooey liquid. So I don't know.
Yeah, sulfuric acid will just burn through your skin straight away.
Okay, yeah, that's maybe in poor taste, I would say, because.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I know she's saying like, "Oh, that's just nothing," but then you could just as easily say pig shit.
Yeah.
So to me, I haven't seen the context of the quote, so I can't say, "Oh, that's." So I've no idea. But obviously, it's framed within a comedy. She's not up on a thing at a rally saying throw battery acid at people you disagree with.
I noticed that the same people who are criticising this, though, are the same people who defended Carl Benjamin for his rape. I wouldn't rape her joke.
Yeah, exactly. There's always seems to be there always seems to be that.
They're like, oh, that's in terrible poor taste, the battery acid thing. But talking about raping people.
That reminds me of I watched it was a program about battles, TV, the battle of censorship in TV over the years and everything like that. And it was, and there were so Mary Whitehouse and all that sort of thing about like how, the first time someone said fuck and the first time someone said this and that. There was an interesting thing about the time that it wasn't the first time, obviously, it was said on television, but it was about when the word, pardon me, but the word cunt was said on pre-Watershed. And no one complained because it was the context of it, and it was like at 10:30 in the morning, something like that on this morning, and I believe it was Caprice, who's a model and actress, and she was talking about, I think it was the Vagina Monologues, and how that was a book that then became a play, or it might be vice versa. I'm not entirely sure. Which way around it was, but I have read it, and it was the thing about, and she just said, oh, and there's a part about reclaiming the word cunt, and and she just moves, and she just carries it, and the presenters sitting there nodding their heads, and
they know what the word meant.
No, they knew what it meant, but because it's just the way, because she wasn't using it as a swear word, because it was in the context of reclaiming that word as it shouldn't be a pejorative, it shouldn't be a swear word, anything like that. It's
and
just
the cadence of it was just
exactly.
The word
she just said it completely matter of fact. She says, oh, he's saying we're part about reclaiming cunt, and no one complained because no one even thought about it. But anyhow, there was an interesting part where you're saying that these people are defending rape jokes, but complaining about battery acid things. They had some old, some fuddy-duddy. It was very judgmental. I mean, not very balanced, but, something like guy going, anytime there were boobs on TV, that was a problem for him. And there was, even if it was post-Watershed and whatnot, and it was swearing and things like that.
It's always sex that gets the most complaints. It's violence.
People getting their heads cut off is fine, but people like
swearing, if violence is the least, then swearing, and then always needs to.
Yeah, but he had he was like objecting to all of this, swearing, things like that. All this, it's all fell from poison, but then they were showing him things like the Black and White Minstrel Show, and what's the other one? Is it Some Mothers Do Have 'Em and things like that, and then Ain't Half Hot Mum, and he was cackling and thinking it was hilarious, wholesome, funny. I think we've kind of figured out what sort of person you might be, sir. But yeah, so the Joe Brand thing, but they've now in repeats and in because it's available as most things are now. It's available, on. In the BBC's case, on iPlayer, but everything has an on-demand service and stuff. And it's not uncommon to cut things after broadcast and go, actually, okay, we let that go out on air, but actually, in hindsight, we should cut that and things. And I always think that, for example, one that always makes me, I always think it's funny, is they, Have I Got News For You? They quite often... While most things you can watch pretty much straight away, there always seems to be a gap before it's available again on iPlayer. And I'm like, that's clearly the lawyers having a look back through and going, did Ian say something libelous or slanderous, I suppose, if they're speaking? What? Would it be libel or slander, or would it be both? Because it's a media, isn't it? So slander is generally considered speech.
Yeah.
So as in you are out on Hyde Park Corner slagging off whoever.
Well, libel's in print.
And libel tends to be printed. But would say, if you said something on a TV show, would that be libel
I think that
slander?
still counts as slander,
Yeah, it would be slander. Okay. But so I'm sure that must be the case. But it was interesting that they've cut that now. I don't know if they've cut it or they've bleeped it, or, if they've cut the segment so that it's not in there at all, or if they just bleeped what she says. I don't know about, because to me, I'm like, it's a bit... You can't blanket censorship and say you can't make jokes about this. I think you do have to look at things in context. It's the same, you look at crimes in context. You don't go, theft is automatic. I mean, there are kind of suggested things, aren't they, for that, like theft is minimum this year, but it can be up to this. And you find that, I'm just making these years up, but let's say stealing a car is 3 years to 7 years. They always have these kind of tiers, don't they? Because you go, well, if you then punched an old lady and yanked her out the car, then that's 7 years. But if you nicked a car that's just been abandoned on the roadside, that's
and maybe if you just keep on doing it as well, if you've had a history.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of thing. So
and this is why Judge Dredd is a bad guy.
Yeah,
because it's very black and white.
Everyone
it doesn't take into account the circumstances.
Yeah. So you look at stuff like that and you go, I don't. To me, I think it's. Is it in poor taste? I guess because obviously it's not all that long ago that Joe Cox was killed by someone who was, I'm not excusing it, but obviously not a well person, but also a fascist, a Nazi and everything like that. So, or certainly had those kind of far right leanings. Didn't he? Had some literature. I think he subscribed to some.
He gave his name. I mean, during the court case.
Wasn't it death to?
True patriot, death to all traitors.
Yeah.
True patriot.
Yeah, exactly.
Brexit is a liberal conspiracy. So
yeah. I mean, he was obviously, again, it's not to excuse, because I'm sure you could take most of the Nazis and go, well, these are clearly mentally ill people, but that doesn't excuse it. But you go, that's why they're doing it. They're mentally unbalanced.
But you can't tell people not to be funny. I think
socially, I think you have to look at it.
Their career won't work out if they are doing inappropriate.
I think the Joe Brand thing, the trouble with the Joe Brand comment is it wasn't funny. Like, it wasn't a particularly good joke, and a lot of these things,
was that the delivery of it?
I just didn't think, it didn't make me go, it didn't make me go,
there's a little bit of that,
all shameful, like, that's, because
I always think
that's a bit close to the bone.
One I always think about is it depends on how you're making fun of the thing, and I don't, for example, I don't think you can make, the Holocaust. You can't make a joke about the Holocaust, because I can't think that there's anything funny in that. But in The Hangover, in the film, there was a bit where one character is going to propose to his girlfriend or whatever, and he has what he calls his grandmother's Holocaust ring. Now, I believe that's just something that commemorates the loss of the enormous loss of life. I'm not sure what that is actually, but another character who is shown to be ignorant and stupid and everything else goes, I didn't know they gave out rings at the Holocaust. Now, that's not making a joke of the extermination of millions of people.
Joke is his stupidity.
Yeah. So there you have found a way to not make a joke about the Holocaust,
Yeah.
but about his ignorance of the thing. So there is a way to make a joke about anything, whether you're going around it like
I
that.
think if it makes you laugh, then it's a joke.
Yeah, but it's
Because
also
your laughter
but it's also
dictates whether it's offensive or it's
Yeah,
not being
exactly.
needlessly offensive or nasty.
But the whole, and it seems to be a very common thing, isn't it? It's always whenever it's a female politician or anyone who's speaking out, that there always seems to be the thing of like, oh well, there's always a rape threat, or there's always a thing of you're ugly and I wouldn't rape you, and because it was what was the politician? I forgot her name that had that recently, didn't she?
Yeah. Oh goodness.
And-
She's Birmingham, isn't she?
yeah, and she's a Labour, but she's kind of like, but she's not. She's sort of a bit of a rebel. Jess. Is it Jess Phillips?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
someone said, "Oh, a candidate for a party, didn't
It
they?"
was Carl Benjamin. Yeah, it was Sargon of Akkad. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realise that because I only vaguely. Sargon of Akkad is a sort of YouTube personality, and he makes videos and comments about things.
Politician.
No, well, apparently
He ran for
politics.
UKIP. He did run for UKIP. Didn't get in.
Okay.
What's the story here? What's the what?
So he said something about how he wouldn't even. She was so ugly, he wouldn't even rape her.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Is that,
that's-
it was along those lines.
Yeah.
That to me is in very poor taste, and it's not funny.
It's not funny though.
That's,
Yeah, I
that's what
don't-
I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, and then he said, "Oh, there's maybe with enough beer."
Again, that's to me. That just seems that's in really.
No, there's not enough beer in the world, or something.
Well,
Is that
yeah, but
another-
I mean, that's you're mixing up two different jokes there, but it's also neither of which are funny. I don't understand. Maybe there's not enough beer to make me have sex with her. It's not particularly funny because that's a very old joke about whatever. But the whole rape thing that's to me that's a crime you're talking about here. And it's directed specifically at a person. Again, I went to it was a Jimmy Carr gig, and obviously he plays very close to the line. And I went to a couple in a few years in a row, and his warm-up act, in essence, was actually a projector showing just with captions and jokes, and it even made like it was obviously him programming it and whatnot, but it made jokes about the fact there was a projector and whatnot. And the joke was. What's worse than finding a maggot in your apple? And obviously the punchline is half a maggot, but it just went, what's worse than finding a maggot in your apple? And the next slide went, being raped.
Oh, right.
And that's kind of funny because it's playing with your
yeah,
expectation.
right,
So it's not saying that raped is funny, but it's saying that it's your because jokes are about subverting your expectation. So neither of those jokes are funny because neither of them really subvert anything.
But there will be instances we go that is offensive, even if it is.
Yeah,
funny.
I think you have to do. Yeah,
If it's not funny, it will not be said again. But my point is with that it's like artwork. The door is either you leave them alone and society judges whether it's funny, or artwork. It's either everything's allowed or who's deciding what we take away. And I think with comedy, it has to be sacrosanct. It has to be like artwork. You go, it is what it is. If it's shit and it's just offensive, then society will judge it, and that person won't get bought, and it won't happen.
I mean, I think
jokes are the same. You need to allow anyone, and there will be some that offend you, but in the whole, the freedom of speech is better.
But also, how much attention has this complaint and all this story brought to? Pardon me. This joke that was made on a radio show that
no one had ever heard.
I'd never heard
Yeah.
of heresy before. And
But this is what I've said to you before about the terrorists are the media, like the spreading of terror. They
I know what you mean,
decided.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you said to me, "Oh, somebody so blah blah," and he said this funny thing, that would be the end of it. They're telling you to be offended by this thing that most people don't give a shit about.
the thing is, it's a delicate balance because you want to have freedom of speech, but then does your freedom of speech extend to someone? Again, I don't know why it's always Hyde Park Corner.
Yeah, no, she could.
But can someone go on Hyde Park Corner and go? This group of people are responsible for all the wars in the world, or so and so. Does that mean you're allowed to spout rubbish and say, let's rise up and kill the Queen and burn down the palace?
Yeah,
if
are
you're
we allowed
inciting
to have our
violence-
ISIS hate speech?
Yeah, is that so?
preached
Where
on
you
the
have to
pod?
find a line. So there is that, and I think so. I don't think you can necessarily say that everything's sacrosanct, but you have to look at it and go and judgment and
No,
say,
but that's not a joke. But I mean, I'm talking to a comedian. If you're a comedian,
Yeah.
you can't start saying you can't say that, because then it's like, what's that fucking film with the about the Nazis in the cabaret.
The producers.
No, cabaret.
Oh, cabaret.
You know how it starts slowly and then they start laughing.
Yeah, it all
and
creeps
then
in. Yeah.
That's how it works. So sometimes there will be things that are offensive. And
Well, I think
but for the whole, you have to leave it alone.
Yeah, I suppose what is the judgment is whether people go.
And if it is just needlessly rude or
Yeah,
racist,
'cause I
then
think-
they will just go away anyway.
Yeah, but
Well,
I think
most of what we're talking about though is social pressure. I mean, both of those cases, the Sargon of Akkad thing and the Joe Brand, were both investigated by the police for threats of violence. I think it was a cursory thing because I think they were reported, and then once something's reported, they then have to investigate.
Yes, the things are in place anyway to.
But they both were not charged.
Yeah,
they both said
so
this
that's fine.
you didn't commit a crime. It's fine.
Yeah,
You know,
so that's fine.
Philly
That
moves.
sorts me out. That's fine.
But sometimes with freedom of speech and stuff, I think that people conflate a freedom to say something also with a freedom to not be criticised of saying those things.
Yeah.
yes.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And if it does go to a bit where, that sounds like violence, then the police get involved, check it out. No, it wasn't. That's fine. The system works.
But sometimes
you can't say that.
No, very much so. But sometimes, and I don't agree with the police or authorities or governments getting involved really in anything. I'm a bit hazy on hate speech as well because you're starting to infringe on. That's a very difficult line. So you're starting to infringe on what you can or can't say, and I agree that you should have freedom to discuss and lots of different topics and everything. But I do. Where am I going with this?
Bring in Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd, yeah, bad guy. But no, what was I going to say? Yes, but there is consequences. Some people want to say stuff, like some people want to make jokes and they want to say stuff and discuss things. And then when lots of people say, well, that's effing stupid, what are you talking about? They're like, you can't say that. You're infringing on my freedom of speech. And it's just like, no, I'm just saying what you're saying is effing stupid and I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's the right to response, isn't it?
Yes, because my freedom of speech is that I'm allowed to say that what you're saying is stupid and I disagree with you. And I hear a lot of people, especially online, saying, oh, you can't criticize me, you can't say this. Because this is my freedom of speech. This is my freedom of expression. You're infringing on that.
Kids. That's just bollocks.
You have to allow nebulous internet brain.
It's built into the system where you go, right, there's freedom of speech. There's always going to be 1% that you're not going to agree with. That's part of the whole freedom is having that 1%.
But it's that contract between between the governed and the governed and the governed government. Yeah. Put my teeth in there. But the idea is that they say, okay, you can have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean you can go around saying you then have to accept that there comes responsibilities with that in terms of saying, I think you should go and stab, whoever.
See, that's when you start inciting violence.
Yeah, of course.
Different.
Yeah.
That's something else. That's something to do with free speech. You just don't tell people to go and attack. That's not free speech. You can have an opinion. You can't say go and do something to hurt another human person. But when your actions impart into another person, that's hate. And that's not allowed. No violence.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you look at that and you say, right, you've crossed the line of free speech.
But that's there now.
Something else.
That's what I mean. That's what I say. I don't mind having a police investigation. Nothing happened. So there you go. It's fine.
But the trouble is, a lot of people, they don't make that final. They don't come out and say that final step. And we've had this recently, with the New Zealand shooting, with the synagogue shooting a couple of months ago in America. The people referenced a lot of YouTube figures and other right-wing figures who don't come out and make explicit calls to violence, but because they stop at that point. But they do make those steps, and then they kind of let people make that final.
Yeah, they know
because they're like this is why there are these problems. This is why society is like this is. These are the people who are to blame.
Well, I saw something the other day.
Somebody needs to do something about it.
Where what they're saying is on YouTube, they're starting to clamp down on like hate speech and all that. So they're finding ways around it. And what they're doing is they're getting these gamers to play computer games and just talk and go on to the subject of politics and say hateful speech there. Like they're specifically getting attractive girls to play computer games.
Yeah, they'll only block people who aren't helping YouTube make money. Or it's the same with Twitter. They don't care about unless it's a celebrity getting bullied, and they care so much. But other people getting bullied and things it's
so shitty on it.
Yeah, exactly. It was just I remember it was I think we might have talked about this before. Like Leslie Jones, who was in the Ghostbusters reboot, remake.
and
rethink.
SNL, yeah.
Yeah, and she's done, but she was the particular target. That film got a lot of ire because it was it was just okay. It was middling. It was one of those weird things. You're like, why are you getting something crossover, something that's so kind of, but it was the fact that it was all female. The full Ghostbusters were all women, and so a lot of trolling went on because of that. And she was a particular target of that, and some of it was not just wasn't just anti-women, but it was also racist. And I'm sure there was probably good old. Not that it's really good old, but obviously rape. So there was lots of horrible things said to her, to the point that she was saying, "I'm leaving Twitter. I'm done with it. No, it's a horrible place." And no. And I think the guy who runs it, Jack Dorsey, isn't it? Is it at Jack? I think he is, because obviously he was the first Jack on there. It was like, oh, let me do what I can handle. It's like, when are you doing this when other people who aren't famous and it's not getting news headlines?
Yeah,
where are you then?
Kids being pushed into suicide.
Yeah, but that
like
doesn't.
bullying at
But
school.
they weigh that up against how's the share price doing?
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
Or that this might look this is a PR disaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do
that's what it
something.
was.
That Ghostbusters film, someone was saying to me, it's funny that, again, like I was saying...
No, it's not funny.
No,
it's not funny.
It's got some funny bits in it.
Yeah, I'll stop you there.
No.
No, how they had the good-looking guy in it, but
Chris
then they're just
Hemsworth.
treating him like he's an idiot. And you
Chris
go,
Hemsworth.
it's like the bullied that have become the bullies. It's supposed to be this feminine text about but then, he's a good-looking guy. Oh, he's an idiot. He's this. That. And you go, well, hang on, you're just doing the same thing. And it's like, the bully always becomes the bully, or the bullied always becomes the bully.
On the flip side of that, there's a sketch show called Famalam, and it's available on iPlayer. I'm no association with this, so it does sound like I'm doing a plug.
We're going for sponsorship with
Yeah,
iPlayer,
exactly. iPlayer, yes. They're not going to pay. But it was there was a really funny sketch in the most recent series. I think it was the first episode, in the first sketch in the first episode, where just African slaves aboard a ship. And they were saying, it's time for us to rise up. Slave lives matter. And then one of the slaves went, oh, sorry, I think, shouldn't we be saying that all lives matter? Because, we don't want to be saying that we're right. And they're like, we're slaves. I think we're on the right side on this one. And he just kept going, no, but we don't want to be so aggressive and be taking... Because there was and they eventually got fed up with him and beat him up. I think they threw him overboard. But there was a thing where... when it was saying all, Black Lives Matter, and then all these other people started going, no, we should be saying all lives matter. And then one of the best tweets I saw about it was someone saying, I wouldn't turn up at a breast cancer fundraiser screaming that people should be giving me money for testicular cancer. All lives matter, but the point we're saying is that
specifically on this day, we're doing
exactly.
This one.
This is this one. So give us, and it was
wasn't someone trying to organise a straight pride parade?
Yeah,
in Boston.
yeah.
It's just like every day is straight. It's like when it's international.
It's just like when
Women's
is
Day.
being straight, like a straight dude, especially, like ever been an impediment to your entire life.
But
like it has.
If it was
it's never
your
been an
birthday,
issue.
and it was your birthday day, and then
Someone turns up and
popped
goes,
up
it says, yeah.
I have birthdays as well.
Yeah.
Hang on, but we get it.
I remember being a child and being very jealous when it was my brother's birthday that he would be getting
it's the same
presents.
sort of
But I was
mindset,
2,
Yeah.
so I kind of
And you grew out of that.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm like this. But it's it's when you get all these guys going, oh, freaking International Women's Day. When's it International Men's Day? Look at the calendar. On every other day that it isn't International Women's Day, that's International Men's Day.
Start your own
You're
day.
all right,
Yeah.
we need Black Panther. We should have a White Panther. He's called Batman. We have
called
White
Captain
Panther.
America.
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly. Every other
But
hero.
I say, I am for the feminine. I think it's been long overdue that it's even it's learning recently about female historical figures. The history is written by the winners, and we haven't now realising the women that did pioneer certain things that had to catch up. But what I don't like is when they do things like that, where they go, okay, female empowerment, we've got this thing. Aren't men stupid? Look at him. Let's go, well, no, you're the bully now. Don't do that.
Yeah, it was sort of, I guess that maybe they were trying to go with let's invert the stereotype, and it's the blonde
but it's
bimbo.
this general thing where women are becoming the men.
It was a funny performance.
I didn't see it.
I really like Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Chris
I
Hemsworth
thought-
is a funny dude.
Yeah, and it was.
He seems cool as well.
Yeah, it was. That film was like, I don't want to necessarily dwell on it too much, but that film was like, it was okay, but it was just like, I really wish you'd come out all guns blazing, made something really funny to shut people up. In the same way that when there was all this hate against Black Panther and people going onto, en masse onto Rotten Tomatoes to downvote it as a part of a campaign because they were saying, it's political correctness got mad. And that film made 1 point something billion and it got nominated for Best Picture, first superhero film to be nominated for Best Picture. And
it did win an Oscar as well, I think.
Yeah, I think, a couple of them have won Oscars. I mean, Suicide Squad's got an Oscar.
True.
Suicide Squad has more. Yeah, Suicide Squad has more.
Sound and things.
I think it was Best Makeup or Best Costume.
Costume, yeah.
I think they were saying it's got more Oscars than the Dark Knight, any of the Dark Knight trilogy films. You're like, oh no, that's not good. But everyone's going, oh, Captain Marvel, we're downvote this, and it made 1 point something billion, and everything, and got huge.
That was hilarious. People were saying this film's going to bomb. This film, this is the lie. This is the thing that finally destroys the SJW movement. And then it made $1 billion. Yeah. And then they said that, oh no, that's only because
Marvel were paying for
they were paying people to go see the film, and they were buying up tickets just to in empty theaters just to inflate the numbers.
Somebody said on the radio the other day that Rotten Tomatoes is going to stop people reviewing the film before it's come out.
Yeah.
And what am I missing there?
Well, because
people are doing that with Captain Marvel. That's why.
Yeah.
Why?
Because critics, obviously, because you get critics and an audience score. Now, obviously, critics will see it usually ahead of general release because there'll be a press thing.
Doing it.
No. So but you also get a public score as well. So there might be a discrepancy between public and thing, and usually they're not too far off on apart. I mean, there's been a few DC films where the audience score has been significantly higher, like Batman v Superman. I think the audience score was significantly higher. Than the critic score. But they were saying the issue is that people are then going on when they're getting cross for whatever reason, that they're going onto these sites and reviewing it, and they haven't even seen it.
Because it hasn't been released.
And they're saying, this is a pile of garbage, 1 star out of 10. If I could give it no stars, I would, and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, but you haven't seen it yet. So now what they're going to do is stop the audience score being available until after the film.
Do you pay any attention to what other people have said about
I might pay. I do tend to look at reviews, and I listen to reviewers who I tend to not always agree with, but I trust their opinion.
So you do look, but does that
because
have you ever not done it, or is it just
sometimes I've gone to see film. For example, I did go see Ghostbusters, even though it had a negative thing. I was like, that was kind of enjoyable-ish. And there were other films
been dissuaded from doing.
Yeah, but there's also other films I've seen, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like Inception, I don't understand why everyone loves that film. It was perfectly fine, but I was like, but this is not how dreams look. It doesn't have that idea of being in a dream, and also it's like they can hack into your mind and influence your dreams and control you to sign a deal, to sign over a percentage of your company. You're like, oh, fuck off. Like it was so boring. It was so like, I want him to sign over, not sign a deal or sign a deal or something like that. It was to do with a business deal, and I'm like, that is mega boring. I don't care about that.
Was that film The Cell, where they went in the serial killer?
But
that's cool.
That's because
really
that was
cool.
all creepy and it was all very dreamscapey and everything like that. And Inception, I was like,
it wasn't a good film, but I mean, it was a cool idea.
Yeah, it had it was style over substance. Maybe the style was the substance, but Inception, I was just like, I don't get it. It might have been it was overly hyped, and maybe I need to watch it back again. But it was also. So you can hack into people's dreams and control their behaviour, but you can't get a fake passport? Because that's what it was all about. He wanted to get back to his kids. And I was just like, or they can't come to you?
I think it went up its own backside with the idea of...
Yeah, it was the only thing that I thought was quite interesting was the idea of the layering of the dreams and the layering of the consciousness and how it worked into it. That was an interesting... I'm trying to think of an interesting device to create some tension and everything like that, and create a sense of what's going on here. And once he started going down into the lower dreamscape and it was all crumbling and stuff, you're like, okay, this kind of looks like a dream now. This looks surreal. The rest of it didn't. It just looked a little bit like someone enjoyed The Matrix.
It looked like a street in Paris.
Yeah. And they then folded over, and you're like, yeah, that looks kind of cool. I mean, for example, Doctor Strange did a similar idea, but much more interestingly.
Oh, the visuals on that spectacular. Pretty average film, but the visuals.
Yeah, the plot is kind of the same. It's the simple origin.
It's very generic plot, but they made up for it with some really interesting.
But again, I think you could say the same about Captain Marvel. I think that was quite a bog standard-ish in terms of plot, origin story. There was some interesting little twists and turns about who was the goodies and who were the baddies and whatnot. Spoiler alert. But it rode on the strength of Brie Larson's performance. She's very charming, charismatic actress. She's also probably one of the few people in the MCU who's got an actual Oscar. But her and Samuel L. Jackson, their chemistry together, I think was brilliant. I was like, I'll watch a film of this if it's just them being buddy cops.
And the Australian guy as well. What's his name?
Oh, Mendelsohn, yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he was great in it. So it was otherwise a kind of fairly straightforward film, some great effects, some interesting, a little twist and turns. Nothing that was too like, oh my god, it turns out the people who are good are actually bad and blah blah blah.
It was all right. Yeah, I watched it. Everyone was like, oh, it's not very good. And I watched it and was like, I really
enjoyed it.
It's fine.
It was a good fun 2 hours. Yeah. And but to me it was the strength of those performances that I thought were made really good. In the same way that I thought in Doctor Strange, it was the visuals were stunning, but I thought the whole Cumberbatch and Tilda Swinton, they're on screen together. And you're like, well, here we go, some actual acting going on here, which is good. And BD Wong as well. Is it BD Wong or Benedict Wong? Isn't it? Benedict Wong.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think, isn't BD Wong's name Benedict as well? No, Benedict Wong, isn't it? Because it's a weird thing that he's Benedict Cumberbatch and he's Benedict Wong.
Okay, I can't remember. He's English, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's English, because BD Wong is the guy that...
No, BD Wong's the guy from
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and Law and Order.
Yeah.
Somebody told me the other day that the Matrix, where they're all wearing the sunglasses, that wasn't originally going to be in there, but it was because they were all using guns and they couldn't get them to not blink their eyes. Like the Terminator, they had to train him to fire a gun and not blink, because obviously the robot wouldn't blink.
It's supposed to be a machine.
But in Matrix, the sunglasses weren't originally there. But because there was so much of it, and they kept doing that, it doesn't look like you're a strong character if you keep doing this when the gun blasts. And they couldn't train him into doing it, so they put in the sunglasses to get rid of that problem. But
it does look cool, though, isn't it? Can you imagine them all walking around without the sunglasses now? I'm like, God, that'd be really
weird. Because I listened to a making of about the Terminator, and they had to get him to do the thing of not blinking, and especially don't blink when the gun shoots, because you have to just not give a shit. Right. So we've been around. Oh, so we started on watches and we ended on sunglasses.
Yeah.
So there you go, so all around the houses.
Yeah.
We crossed the caverns of paedophilia and rape.
We got to we went through
a politician and came back to a nice little smooth landing there.
Yeah. Basically, if you're going to make really offensive jokes, make them really funny first.
Yeah. I think genuinely make them funny. At least make it funny so you can just be like, well, got to laugh.
That's how I think Frankie Boyle gets away with a lot of stuff, because they are very funny.
Yeah,
and also he goes after everyone. If you offend everyone, you offend no one.
That's what I say, though. If it's just shit and offensive, then society would just over time rule you out. Do you know what I mean? It's self-correcting sort of thing.
Well, I went to because I know we're on.
We'll end on this.
But I went to a comedy gig and there were some arsehole hecklers who were just being annoying throughout the whole thing. And then a comedian came out and, God, I've forgotten his name now. He's been on a few different things. He's been on quite a few panel shows. He was great, really funny. But he was, I'm not sure what his ethnic background was, but he was a Muslim. And he makes a lot of jokes about how tricky it is being a Muslim and telling people, because I always think that you're going to do, in this climate. And they kept then started making racist jokes about, and he was kind of batting them off and everything like that. But he was trying to say, part of the act was there was a semi-serious side of it about trying to demystify and say, this is what Muslims are like, and I don't know. And then he said, does anyone have any questions? And then one of them went, when's the next bombing? And everyone went, ooh, everyone was like, fuck off. It was quite nice. The whole crowd was against it.
Turned on them,
Yeah, because everyone was kind of getting annoyed with them anyway, because it's like, you're not funny hecklers, you're just pricks. So everyone was like booing and everything like that and telling them fuck off and everything like that. And he just went, well, the last bomb was the one you just said there. Because it was just no one will applaud. And then everyone went, yeah!
There you go.
So I judged it and just went, you guys are pricks. Off you go, and security took them out anyway.
It's got to be pretty lonely to be a racist.
Yeah, but they were just like...
You can get away because there's not that many. But everywhere you go, in every shop, in every job, there's going to be people of mixed race. And so to be racist now, that's fucking hard work.
I just think who has the time? When I see these guys... when I see someone like... I don't know, Tommy Robinson or someone. I just think, someone who's really into it, someone who goes to rallies and is really, really, I am racist and this is. I just think, who has the time?
Yeah,
I just think you don't have a proper job.
Yeah.
Like you don't have a proper job, or you don't have a proper family, or both. Because if you did, you just would be just knackered. You'd come home from work, you'd see your wife for about an hour, and you'd eat some food and just fall asleep in a chair somewhere. Like, who has the time?
I've got time to go on a rally with 6 other morons and
expend the mental energy as well.
Just living the day of having to keep that up.
Yeah, just being angry.
All right, mate, how you doing? You've got to be like, fuck him, fuck you, and fuck him.
Training,
Right, so well, there you go. End on racism and
racism bad.
So so we're back to our regular recording schedule as of next week.
Although I'm not here next week.
What are you doing next week?
It's my nephew. Well, it's actually his birthday last week, but they're in France.
So you're going to be body slamming kids on bouncy castles and things like that?
No, it's only going to be like a short family thing. I will basically be. Someone described this, but I was like, I never really thought about it. But they were saying basically being, if you're like the uncle or the stepdad or whatever, things like that, you're basically a human gymboree. And I was like, that's exactly it. I just get climbed on, and that's fine.
That's fine with me.
It's like it's a knockout, isn't it? Just standing up.
I'm just there to be climbed on, or to play with the toys, or to help him with colouring, and that's it. So it's great.
It's a good excuse to play with new toys, though. Like some of the new stuff they've got.
He's 4 now, but soon once he starts getting 5 and 6, and we can start buying him proper Lego and stuff.
But you can have a little
go
go
on.
And weapons, like weapons actually can do damage.
Yeah, he doesn't have. I'm trying to think if he has weapons. I don't think so. He's got like a giant sort of knockoff transformer type thing. That's about the closest he's got to any gun thing like that. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to getting him.
One last thing, my mum, she was when I was a kid, she was big on like, okay, we're not going to buy toy guns. We're not going to. Guns are bad. Don't want to encourage violence. We're not going to have toy weapons. And she caught me making a gun out of Lego. And like using it, and it was just like an L shape, like with Lego. And I was going, psh, 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 psh. And she's just like, screw it, I'm just going to buy him a gun.
I heard somebody on the podcast saying the same. It was a lesbian couple, and they said, right, we're not bringing them up to be anything. And she said she walked into the house, into the room, and the kid had got 2 pencils and stapled them together as a gun. But when she walked in, he hid the gun. Yeah. Like he instinctively knew.
There's a weird. I was talking about this with someone else the other day. Very quickly, sorry. There was a weird thing about like how although you try and say to people, no, boys in blue, girls in pink, and you try and then get rid of that and say no, everyone in white or yellow, whatever. And girls can play with whatever, and boys shouldn't have to. But there is a weird thing that not all, of course not. But there is a majority thing where if you just let them play with the things, the boys will play with the trucks, the girls will play with the dollies.
They've given up doing all that.
Yeah, because that's just an.
Men want to build, women want to communicate.
And there's different things. I mean, it's also imitation. Like my nephew has a pram, and I don't think children, like when I was a boy, if you had a pram, like people would be like, "Why is that boy playing with a pram?" And things like that. But it's because obviously in the modern age, dad's pushing the pram as well as mum. Yeah. It's the thing. So he's imitating his father by pushing the pram. But anyway, on that
quality for all is
exactly. Yeah, I think that was we finished on a nice, sweet.
We landed
slightly. Good positive ending there.
Yeah, exactly.
You can remove your seatbelts. Cigarette light has gone.
We went from Hobbiton all the way right through to Mount Doom and then back again.
Yeah, we steered it back.
But at the end, we sit in the bar and we look around and everyone's having a wonderful time. But we've all changed.
Yeah. A few smart. We ended.
Who's off to the Undying Lands? Me, probably.
And Kerem's ready.
And on that note, Kerem's ready to go. He's off to the Undying Lands. He's married now, so he's got.
Congratulations, Kerem.
Bye.
Bye.